Tonight at 6, 23 people facing indictments accused of using drones to smuggle drugs and other contraband inside multiple Georgia state prisons.
Small, compact, and you can find them on Amazon for just a few $100. Federal prosecutors say this group knew that and took advantage.
At 11 o'clock, violence in Georgia prisons. Each month, reports surface of inmates being beaten, stabbed, or even at the hands of other prisoners.
Georgia's prison system has long been under scrutiny due to various issues, including overcrowding, violence, and inadequate living conditions. Several prisons across the state have garnered attention for their troubling history of riots, gang violence, and poor management. From maximum security facilities to medium security prisons, these institutions have faced significant challenges in maintaining order and ensuring the safety of both inmates and staff. In this overview, we examine some of the most notorious prisons in Georgia, including USP Atlanta, Baldwin State Prison, Georgia State Prison in Reidsville, and others, highlighting the incidents that have contributed to their dangerous reputations.
Thank you. Channel 2 investigates possible prison corruption here in Atlanta. Today, whistleblowers testified on Capitol Hill about major security and safety problems at the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary.
Well, Linda, some of the testimony here today, you just cannot imagine what staff here were thinking, leaving the doors to the prisons open, hoping stray cats would come in and deal with their rat problem, intentionally damaging the drug screening equipment. The safety lapse is so bad that an internal security audit by the U.S. government said it's a safety danger, not just to people here in the neighborhood, but to people all over the Southeast.
USP Atlanta is frequently ranked as one of the most problematic federal prisons in the U.S. The facility, which houses around 2,000 inmates, is notorious for confining inmates in small 56-square-foot isolation cells for extended periods during transfers. One of its most infamous incidents occurred in 1987, when Cuban detainees staged a violent riot, setting fires and causing chaos throughout the prison. Both guards and inmates sustained injuries during the unrest, highlighting severe security and management issues within the facility. Over the years, the prison has gained a reputation for overcrowding, violence, and poor conditions, making it a consistent fixture on lists of the worst penitentiaries in the country. High-profile inmates like Michael Vick, the former NFL quarterback, and Bernard Madoff, the financier convicted of orchestrating one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history, have been housed at USP Atlanta, adding to its notoriety.
Covering Ware County, Georgia. Tonight, we're learning more about an incident that took place inside the Ware State Prison. This is near Waycross, that prompted the prison to go into lockdown. According to the Georgia Department of Corrections, 2 staff members and 3 inmates were hurt during the incident.
But new video continues to surface from that night and from the days following, showing a situation that both guards and inmates say is a powder keg. Ann Schindler has more.
A war zone.
The riot played out live on social media.
Chaos, destruction.
Inmates took control of Ware State Prison Saturday, badly injuring at least 2 guards, including one who remains in the hospital. But even some employees who weren't hurt haven't been able to return.
Ware State Prison in Georgia has been a site of significant controversy and concern regarding its conditions and safety. In August 2020, a major riot occurred at the facility involving hundreds of inmates who gained control over parts of the prison. The incident, which led to the injury of several guards, highlighted the dire conditions inside the prison, including severe overcrowding, understaffing, and inadequate facilities. Inmates reportedly faced inhumane conditions such as broken toilets, limited access to clean water, and insufficient medical care. These issues were exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, which further strained the prison's resources and staff. Former correctional officers and human rights organizations have spoken out about the systemic problems at Ware State Prison. They've called attention to poor management, dangerous staffing shortages, and a lack of response to safety concerns raised by staff. The Southern Center for Human Rights even requested federal intervention, describing the situation as a constitutional crisis due to the deteriorating conditions and escalating violence within Georgia's prison system. Although the Georgia Department of Corrections has acknowledged some of these problems, there's still a long way to go in addressing these critical issues.
Barksdale says in June 2019, Dunnigan and Butler strangled, stabbed inmate David Wilson, and then set him on fire in his cell. It happened at Baldwin State Prison in Hardwick. According to state prison records, Dunnigan was in prison for an armed robbery. Bustler was in jail for several burglaries and false imprisonment.
Thanks for joining us. As coverage you can count on begins at 6 with the ongoing search for an escaped inmate. Here's what we know so far. Investigators from several agencies are searching for William Knight. He broke out of jail on Monday. The search now focusing in the area of Highway 272 and Indian Trail Road in the eastern part of Washington County, Georgia.
Baldwin State Prison, located in Georgia, has a troubling history of violence and misconduct, despite being classified as a medium security facility. With a capacity to hold up to 992 inmates, it has been the site of several violent incidents over the years. Recently, a severe assault left one inmate narrowly escaping serious harm, underscoring ongoing safety concerns within the institution. The prison has also faced significant legal challenges in the past. In 1984, when Baldwin State Prison functioned exclusively as a women's facility, multiple lawsuits were filed by female inmates alleging sexual abuse by prison staff. These accusations led to a series of legal actions that continued through the early 1990s, with nearly 200 women eventually coming forward to report instances of abuse by prison employees. This troubling history reflects deep-rooted issues within the facility, which have persisted even after it transitioned to housing male inmates. Despite not being a maximum security prison, Baldwin has been plagued by serious security concerns and allegations of misconduct, highlighting the need for continued oversight and reform.
In the last 4.5 hours or so, the Georgia Department of Corrections says that the prison was put on lockdown, but now that the sun is up, there are family, friends, and loved ones that still feel like they are left with more questions and answers this morning. And here at the Waycross Police Department, they receive a lot of calls with those questions, people trying to figure out exactly what happened inside of the Ware State Prison that led to a riot. And I want to show you this video new into our newsroom this morning. You can see what appears to be a pretty sizable fire around the Ware State Prison. We're still working to learn how that started, and we're also working to confirm the authenticity of this video. But
Donnie Rowe was convicted yesterday of shooting officers in Putnam County back in 2017. He allegedly had help from a fellow inmate, Ricky DuBose. After the shooting, the two escaped and led officers on a manhunt across the southeast. Rowe now awaits sentencing, where he's facing the death penalty. DuBose's trial is set to start in May 2020.
Georgia State Prison in Reidsville, Georgia, has a long and complex history marked by both its architectural significance and its troubled past. Opened in 1936 as a modern replacement for convict labor camps, it was built with funding from the Public Works Administration. Initially hailed as a model prison, it quickly became known for its harsh conditions and the violent behavior of its inmate population. The prison's design is notable for its Depression modern style, a stripped-down form of classical architecture intended to reflect strength and order. Despite these intentions, the facility has seen a history of severe incidents, including riots and inmate violence. One of the most notorious events was a riot in 1978, during which multiple inmates were involved in violent outbreaks. Over the years, the prison has housed some of the most dangerous inmates in the state, and its isolated location contributed to its reputation as a harsh and formidable facility. For a time, the prison served as Georgia's main execution site, where executions by electric chair were carried out. Despite being intended as a self-sufficient institution with its own farm and workshops, the prison has faced ongoing challenges with maintaining order and safety. Today, Georgia State Prison remains a maximum security facility for some of the most violent offenders in the state. Efforts to rehabilitate inmates have been overshadowed by its history of violence and strict control measures, making it one of the most infamous prisons in Georgia. Smith State Prison, located in Glenville, Georgia, has gained a reputation for severe conditions and significant safety concerns. The facility has been repeatedly criticized for its handling of gang violence and inmate treatment. In 2011, an inmate's unexplained deletion raised public concern when the Department of Corrections did not provide details beyond stating it wasn't related to a riot. The prison has continued to face issues over the years, including a recent incident in June 2024 when an inmate, Jadricus Hart, reportedly deleted a contracted food service worker before taking his own life. This incident highlighted ongoing problems with safety and oversight at the facility. In addition to these violent events, the prison has also been linked to a pattern of staff and inmate altercations. In a tragic incident in 2023, Corrections Officer Robert Clark was deleted by an inmate using a homemade weapon. This attack occurred while Clark was escorting two prisoners. reflecting the ongoing risks faced by both staff and inmates within the facility. These events have contributed to Smith State Prison being considered one of the more problematic facilities in the Georgia correctional system, emphasizing the urgent need for reforms to improve safety and living conditions.
Guards at Hayes State Prison in Tryon, Georgia are resigning at a rate not seen since inmates attacked 2 guards 18 months ago. The latest exodus began in June, around the time the Department of Corrections announced that Scott Crickmar would replace Rick Jacobs as warden. We're told there have been questions among guards about whether Crickmar has enough experience for Hayes Prison. Walker State, the prison he comes from, is just over half the size of Hayes, and the worst offenders aren't even housed there.
A former Georgia corrections officer pled guilty to taking money from an inmate to smuggle drugs into Hayes State Prison. Investigators say 34-year-old Tiffany Cook was called. Georgia Department of Corrections says an inmate tipped them off. Cook is scheduled to be sentenced December 21st. Matt Uris for CW Atlanta.
Hayes State Prison has experienced numerous violent incidents in recent years, adding to its reputation as one of Georgia's more dangerous correctional facilities. In June 2023, an inmate was charged with the fatal stabbing of his cellmate, marking another tragic episode in the prison's history of violence. This facility has been plagued by issues such as gang-related activity, contraband, and the use of homemade weapons, contributing to a volatile environment for both inmates and staff. Additionally, Hayes State Prison has struggled with overcrowding and inadequate staffing, which has exacerbated security challenges and made it difficult to maintain control over the inmate population. In past years, reports have also highlighted systemic problems, including allegations of corruption among staff and inadequate medical care, further complicating the conditions at the prison. These ongoing challenges at Hayes State Prison underscore the need for continued reform and oversight to improve safety and living conditions for those incarcerated there. Addressing these issues is crucial to prevent further harm and to uphold the standards expected of a correctional facility. Georgia's prison system is grappling with serious challenges, including rampant violence, gang activity, overcrowding, and insufficient staffing. The prisons examined, such as USP Atlanta, Ware State Prison, and Smith State Prison, exemplify the difficulties faced by correctional facilities across the state. Repeated incidents of violence, riots, and security failures underscore the urgent need for reform and enhanced oversight. Addressing these systemic issues is essential to improving the living conditions of inmates and ensuring the safety of correctional officers within these facilities.